All right, guys. Welcome to Wrestlevlogs podcast episode 2. This is Moich. We're here with Chase, the host of the show.
Guys,
And today on the show we have a GSL member, Great Sexy Love. He is the Remedy. How's it going, Remedy?
Man, it's going. It's going. How are y'all?
we're doing good, man. Trying to survive the apocalypse one day at a time.
Man, right now, what was it last night? I was playing The Last of Us, and this is too familiar. Just no mushroom-headed people.
Probably not the best game you should be playing around this time.
Okay, you gotta stay prepared somehow.
Yeah.
How's it going, man? You able to get any supplies today?
So before everything kind of went crazy, I would say that Monday, before just kind of everybody went crazy over toilet paper, I went to the grocery store, and I think kind of after the first couple of days of chaos, we went back after they restocked, and yeah, so we've been good with that.
That's good. That's good.
I say you didn't have to fight anyone over some shit.
No. Everybody was actually really chilled. I think everybody was just. We went to HEB, so everybody was just kind of like, "Hey, let's just get our stuff, and not worry about anybody else." But also, there was like a shit ton of cops in there.
That's good. Well, last we saw you was at the No Ring Death Match for Heavy Metal on the 28th. It was you and Great Scott against Andy Dalton and Dmitry Alexandrov, and that was pretty sick match.
So thank you. I tried my best.
We even saw you pull out a knife.
Oh yeah, I always have knives. I think that's the running joke of wrestling. Is just like in a locker room, they're like, "Hey man, I need to cut this," or "We need to cut this. Who has a knife?" And Remedy has a knife. So there's been a couple of times where I've pulled knives out during matches, and it scares everybody. I think it's to the point where the referee searches me like I'm like he's a cop. So they didn't search me in the death match, so I'm good.
I mean, it is a death match, so anything
holds
goes,
barred.
right?
Anything's legal.
Yeah, apparently not knives.
Fuck the rules.
So, have you always, been a deathmatch wrestler? Because I think the first time we saw you was at the first ever Texas deathmatch tournament. Have you always been a Texas deathmatch wrestler, or how did you get into the deathmatch?
No, I've not like. I guess the best way of putting it is I've never been a deathmatch guy. Like it was never my forte. Like I've done like hardcore matches, but I think my first ever match that was resemblance of a death match was at ACW. I wrestled Showtime Scott Summers, and that's when him and his tag team partner, which I think at the time they were NWA tag team champions, or
Wow.
they were about to be tag team champions, and I took a brain buster on the cinder blocks, and that match was crazy. I started tagging up with Masada, who's the deathmatch god,
Mm-hmm.
and we started tagging up, and me and him are like brothers. That's the only reason why I did those skewers. I got his blessing from it, but I always do out of respect, where I was pretty much taught from.
Yeah.
And it's a real problem when other people do them because they don't ask; they just do it to do it, and then they ask for forgiveness. But he was the one, yeah. He was the one that was just kind of like, "You should do this," and I'm like, "Nah, I'm okay." And when the tournament popped up, Showtime got bit in the eye by a brown recluse, and I took
Yeah.
his play. and it was legitly after what was it the show before that. I got my head split open with a chair, and they're
Oh,
like,
jeez.
"Hey man, do you want to go wrestle and do this?" And I'm like, "Bro, I got like my head glued shut. Shit, why not? Let's do it."
So no hesitation. You just
None
dove
at
right
all.
in.
Nah, yeah, I dove right in. I think, well, one, it was, I remember that they were first talking about it, and I was kind of bummed that I wasn't in the thought of it. Like, they didn't think about me to do it. And it was kind of cool that I got to replace Scott. Well, not cool for him, but I felt honored that they thought of me right after they thought of him. And they were just kind of like, well, you're going to replace him, and you're probably one of the best fits. And I find it funny because I wasn't supposed to be there, and that was the night Deathmatch Andre was born.
So kind of touching upon going back to your days with Masada, have y'all ever talked about doing a reunion anytime soon?
Oh man. I don't think any company could really handle us. ACW could handle us to a point, but it was funny because we had rules of what we were not supposed to do, and we just did what we wanted to do.
Damn.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's always a rule of wrestling of don't use the chairs, especially don't use the good chairs. And at the end of every match, we used everything we could. So,
oh, and really, who's gonna tell you guys or both of you guys, what to
Exactly.
do? So,
Anything.
you know.
Hey man,
Yeah.
anything goes. Fuck it.
But if it wasn't for Masada, I don't think I would have been in wrestling any longer than what I did before I took my break. Because I think just kind of being on the road and just kind of being stuck and not being around really people that you can consider family, and him just kind of like taking me under his wing, teaching me just things of wrestling, but also things on the road. And I enjoyed my time with him. We hung out more outside of shows than we did at shows. Like, I consider Masada a brother of mine.
And how long have you been wrestling for?
I've been wrestling for 13 years.
Damn.
Yeah, I've been wrestling for 13 years. I think it's about to be 14 in April.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be 14 years, April 13th.
So, talking a little bit more about your career, who trained you to be in the business and be a wrestler?
I think y'all are about to be surprised. I was trained by Booker T.
No way.
Oh no shit.
Oh, the ROW?
Yeah. When it was called the PWA.
Oh,
Yeah, back then. Like,
That's a throwback.
yeah.
So how was the training there with Booker?
Man, the training with Booker was good. It was real good because at the time Booker really got in the ring with you. Booker will always tell you like he's a college professor, so he will give you the lesson plans. It's you who have to implement them. And with Booker, like I have to say, some people will say that it's like it would make a lot of people mad if I say this, but man, Booker's one of the best schools you can go to because who can say they got trained by a Hall of Famer, now a two-time Hall of Famer in wrestling,
And a
when I
five-time
first got-
champion.
yeah, a five-time champion. I would say six-time because he won the heavyweight title when he was King Booker. Trust me, I gotta remember these things. That's the guy who
He
taught.
might. I mean, the professor might just, throw a little pop quiz at you, so you got to know these things.
Yeah, but man, 6 times doesn't sound good when you get to 3 because it's 6. Oh, yeah, let's just say.
You're like, oh shit.
But yeah, but man, just starting off there, it was really kind of just a crew of guys, and we were like a brotherhood. It was like growing up like in a fraternity at most, just because this is what brought y'all all together, even though y'all are from all different backgrounds and we all meshed really well. And kind of looking back at the original class that I started with, I wouldn't even say it was a class. The original group that I started with, I only think that there's 2 of us that still wrestle.
Who might those 2 be? Do you know? Do you remember?
Well, he was there. He was wrestling before me, but Steve DeMarco. Because Steve DeMarco came from out in Dallas, so he had years under his belt. But I don't think anybody from that original group still wrestles.
So a bit of a little origin of GSL.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah, me and Steve have history. It's funny because I can put it like this. I think it's the analogy that always goes together of Brock and Paul Heyman. He's always kind of been my advisor. He's always been my corner man. I've always, hey, do you think that this is a good move? Do you think that this is a good move? I always bounce ideas off of them. There's history that goes there. So,
wow. Now, so I'm sorry. Keep going.
No. You're good. You're good.
I was just gonna ask, and so 13 years. That was 2007, about.
Yeah.
You've known Steve since.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so since we're kind of like on the subject of GSL, can you kind of tell me like how you kind of came to basically join GSL? How did it all come to be, man?
So I was retired. I quit wrestling. I kind of had a nervous breakdown. I wasn't doing good just mentally or physically. And the great ones train out at Texas All Star out in Houston. And I think I went to an ROW award show because one of my best friends was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I kind of saw all the people that we started training together, and he was just like, everybody was like, oh man, I want to get back, and I'm like, oh man, I'm good. At the time I was managing a bar. I was a general manager, so I really didn't care for it. But I started seeing the great ones post up like training pictures and just kind of seeing the smiles on everybody's faces. And I'm like, it kind of got to me. And I'm like, man, let me see if training, that's good exercise. I wouldn't mind just going and just kind of getting some extra exercise in. And then I started going, and people are like, hey, man, you could move really, really good for a big guy. You could, and then people started asking me questions about wrestling and in the ring. And that kind of sparked my love back for it.
Fuck yeah.
So
now, so probably do remember this, but I was first introduced to GSL when I brought out that thumbtack dildo when you invited me onto the interview on Wrestlevlogs.
Yeah.
I just gotta get your opinion. What went through your mind when you saw that thumbtack dildo?
I'm gonna put it like this. Not to no sell it. I've seen worse. But
shit.
I'm gonna put it like this. I used to be a general manager at strip clubs, so I'm desensitized by the world.
You've seen it all.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
sure you've seen some shit.
I have, literally and figuratively.
I was gonna say that's literally and figuratively.
Yeah, but that's the time for another podcast.
Oh,
Pretty sure that's like the adult-only version of this podcast later on.
Yeah, that's
yeah. So let's talk about first. Tell me about your first wrestling match. How did it go before you retired the first time?
Okay, so my first wrestling match and my last one, or what do you want to know?
So like your first wrestling, well, your first official wrestling match, and then your first match after you came back for wrestling.
Okay, so my first wrestling match was not at a Booker T show, but it was at a show that DeMarco booked, which was called CCW, and it was out in Sour Lake, Texas, which is in the middle of nowhere. And I wrestled a guy who I trained with, which his name was Kelly Kevin. And I had no idea what to do. I was just kind of like, all right. So he's like, just listen to me. And that's what I did. So, and that was my first match. And I was terrified.
now.
And my match back, I wrestled. I wrestled. It was a 2-night show at Heavy Metal, and I wasn't supposed to wrestle at all. I just wanted to come and watch the show. And my first match back was against the Great Scott at Heavy Metal.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So what year? What year was GSL formed?
I think GSL was formed 2 years ago. So it was the original, the Fabulous Four that they like to call themselves. So the Great Ones, Nate Andrews and Steve. And then Pumpkin, she joined, or Greta, whatever you want to call her, she joined. And then you have, then I would say was the rest of us, which was myself, Anthony, and Scotty. And we all formed at ACW. And that became the Grade 8.
And I was gonna say, if you can induct anyone else, past or present, to be an additional member of GSL, who would it be? Like any promotion, anytime, who would it be?
Into GSL?
So
Okay, so if I could put anybody into GSL, it would actually be 2. And I feel that one, it's going to kind of get a little oohs and ahs. But the first one I would bring in Robert Evans.
Okay.
Yeah. I would bring in Robert Evans. But the second one is I would also bring in, would be ACH.
Wow. Well, I mean, he did join that.
Wow.
That he did.
He was
join
in that-
you guys at the
That
death
spot
match
at the
No Ring.
yeah.
Well, then ACH is one of my best friends. Like, ACH is probably my best friend. I talk to him on a daily basis, and we've always been boys. Ever since the first time we met, we've always been boys.
Now,
Now,
I was
now
gonna,
Chase
kind of want to.
was actually part of that with ACH.
Oh yeah,
I was the one you
watched.
called dumb fuck.
Yeah, I kept trying to get you around, man, and you're like here, like no, here, and you're like here, and I'm like come closer, and you were just kind of scooting. So then I yelled dumb fuck, and you're like,
Not gonna lie, I was still like in shock. I was like, holy fuck, this is actually happening. And on top of that,
yeah.
I'll admit, I was fucking scared. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck's gonna happen? And you're yelling at me, and that was just making me more nervous. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm gonna get killed, aren't I?
No, man. Apparently, when I yell, don't worry, that affects a lot of people. Because when I yell, people kind of get scared.
I mean, shit, getting yelled at by Deathmatch Andre, I was like, oh, shit, here I go. I pissed him off. I'm done tonight.
Yeah.
Man.
So
Now,
how'd you feel after that match?
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
How did you feel after that no ring death match you had? How did you feel after?
Ah, man, I felt good. There was nothing besides my balls hurting. I felt good.
and oh wait, was that you? I think was it Dimitri? Yeah, it was. Dimitri hit you with the hockey stick with the barbed wire, wasn't it?
Yeah, he also hit me in my lower back, which made me mad. And I wish they got it on footage, but I broke that fiberglass hockey stick over my knee.
I don't. I think no.
I remember that.
I was gonna,
I think I remember
I
that.
remember that.
now, me and Julio, which going back to kind of what you're saying, you are, very intimidating, but not to, take away from your character. After the Texas Deathmatch tournament, we actually saw you at In and Out, and I think it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. And as we were leaving, you like came out and you're like, "Hey, like, were you guys at the show?" Or no, you asked us that inside the In and Out and asked us about the show, and that was pretty cool to us. We're like, man, we just saw him like beat up a guy, pour lemon juice, and he's the nicest guy. Like
So he even used one of my soda cans as a weapon.
Yeah. Man, my whole thing is just like, well, one, like, I'm kind of, when I'm out at places and I know that I'm too close to the venue, I'm like, I don't like people coming up and bothering me. But I saw that y'all glanced at me, and I'm like, all right, they were at the show. And I'm like, but y'all didn't come up and y'all didn't talk. Y'all were very respectful of my distance and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I'm going to go out and see if these guys had a good time. Because at the end of the day, it's the fans that make us who we are. Mm-hmm. And you're coming all out this way to support us. Man, at least I can do is talk, say hello, this and that, even outside of the venue. Because if, like, I've dealt with some fans in the past where they would see me eating with my son, and they'd come up and they're just hovering over my space, and I'm like, hey man, I'm with my family. And then they're like, fuck you, I paid for your food. And I'm like, really? So you really think that you paid for my food? All right, how about you pay for all my food now?
Yeah, and that's the thing that we don't, me and Julio, of course, we go out, we're from the Valley, so for that it was a 4-hour trip going there. It's 8-hour total. But that's something we don't like to do. We like to give you guys your space, especially after a show and especially after a death match. We're not gonna bother you. You guys are trying to eat. It's late, so we try not to be those kind of people where we feel entitled to, hey, we paid for a ticket. It's, hey, yes, we appreciate what you guys do, but we're gonna give you guys your space. And we thought that was pretty cool. We were talking about it on the ride home. We're like, man, that was pretty sick. You didn't have to do that, or and we thought that was pretty cool of you to come up and ask us what we thought of the show. And that's I think, I can't remember who said it, but it's the whole it may not mean nothing to you, but it means everything to like the fan. So that's kind of saying like thanks, thank you for taking the time and saying hello to us. So that thank you.
So I guess y'all are gonna get the insight on Wrestlevlogs. But the reason why my name is The Remedy was just because I'm cured from like all my past problems, my mindset, everything. So why not show that in who I am, and it's remedied. I hated wrestling for the longest. I was in a depression. I just hated everything about it. And I have a newfound love. I found my love back for wrestling, like when I first started training, and how I couldn't wait to hit the ropes and couldn't wait to get in the ring and learn as much as I can. Like that love is back in me again. So why not show that in my name? So that's why I call myself the Remedy.
Sorry, I was gonna say, going back to the fans on the night of the Nova Death match. Did you like go in it already planned? Like, yeah, I'm gonna get 3 fans, and we're gonna do some crazy shit.
Yeah. I already had that plan.
No shit.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, did you expect it to go wrong or what?
No.
I'm like,
no.
damn.
No, because the thing about me is I'm very calculated, and I put people like, all right. So in my job, I'm a personal bodyguard, but also I do details for a lot of nightclubs and stuff like that. And my details is I put people in certain spots, and I feel like if I can put somebody in a spot that's foolproof, then they can't fuck it up. So I put people in foolproof spots, and that's what I did. I just had y'all hold onto the board. I didn't feel like y'all were going to stand there and try to muscle it up still, that when y'all fell the weight that y'all were going to let go. I had the other guy sit there and help ACH grab Andy Dalton, so there's already help on that side. So, and that was it.
Nice. Do you plan on using any more fans in the future?
Yeah. If y'all pay to come to shows, I don't know who I might pull out. I don't know who wrestler I might pull out from the back either.
That was cool. I don't even think I was so, like I said, there was so much going on that it took me a moment to realize. I was like, wait, that's ACH. What? Like, you know, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't realize until after the show. I was like, wait a minute, that was fucking ACH. First of all, I didn't have my glasses on.
I didn't
Second
know
of all,
later.
But that was such a cool moment, though. It was like, well, that was really unexpected. Yeah.
I think my thing of wrestling is I always want the fans to talk about something. Whether it's just a regular match and they're like, man, it's like people are like, oh man, I know wrestling's fake, but that guy got his ass whooped. Or, hey man, I got to help a wrestler in their match. Or, hey man, this guy pulled a knife out.
I was gonna say thank you, Remedy, because now I got another line to pick up chicks with.
I was like, hey
man, the fun will never end.
Exactly. It's like I use that on Tinder now. I'm like, hey, not to brag or anything, but a wrestler wanted to use me as a match, so what's good?
Hey baby, I drove this guy through a piece of plywood.
Wow, I was the Wrestlevlogs champion.
Yeah, exactly. I was Wrestlevlogs champion. I participated in a spot in a no-ring death match,
and he was a weapon.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, I also ran a charger up someone's butt that night too.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel recharged, not me. Oh man. Yeah, that was a great title change.
Yeah. And that was super cool of y'all that you guys were cool to go along with our little stupid skit thing.
And then we're a party. That's why we were singing before the promo or before the interview. I'm usually always
the house.
Yeah.
Now, you're from the Houston area, right?
Yes.
All right. So, how did you get in? I think you said this earlier, but how did you guys get introduced to like the heavy metal guys like Dunbar. And,
Yeah, Josh.
Dunbar used to wrestle at ACW,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've always,
Yeah.
yeah,
he was
I've
actually
always
tag
been-
partners with Scott, wasn't he? Or
no, he was tag partners with Donnie Brooks. They were tag champs.
Mhm.
But the first time I met Dunbar, him and Scotty tagged up as the Green Boys, and their gear was blue. So, but that might embarrass Dunbar that I just said that, but I remember everything. What was it? I met Dunbar at ACW, and I've always was like really high on his work and his wrestling and
Mhm.
personalities. We just kind of meshed, and he used to always. I used to love it when he used to call me and Masada's tag matches because just all the emotion and that he got a kick out of it. But if it wasn't for Dunbar, man, I don't think I would have gotten back into wrestling there either. Because my first two matches were at Heavy Metal. That
What was
And
the
I-
second match?
at Heavy Metal. It was a match. Okay, let me try to remember everybody. It was Corvus. It was some guy that I've never met, that I've only met once, so I don't remember his name. DeMarcus Rashad, T. Ray, Jeff Gant, and Joe DeMaro.
Wow.
I think I remember that show.
Like a scramble. And I came back with Luigi Primo as his delivery guy, Papa Domino.
Are there recordings of this?
Yeah, man, I think there is. I think
Is
there
this
is.
Was this
Yeah,
all
Twitch.
on like Thunder maybe?
No, it was like one of their Friday shows.
That was it was one of the guillotine shows, right?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
yeah, it was Thomas Shire versus Eddie Kingston. Yeah, which I think I earned Eddie Kingston's respect that night, but I also think I scared him that night too. And he was looking for I think he was looking for a wrist tape, and he's asking people, and people are kind of walking by him, and I'm like, I got it for you. And I stood there and yelled, "Who got wrist tape?" And everybody turned around and gave me tape. And Eddie's
Damn.
like, "You've been in prison before, huh?" And I just looked at him and walked away.
To this day, he still doesn't. He's still not sure if you've been a prisoner.
He
or not.
still doesn't know the answer.
Still doesn't know. Hopefully I meet him again.
Just set the record straight.
Oh man, I'll just come up from behind and whisper, "Phone check, fool."
You're just gonna pull your pocket out.
Well, full stock.
Oh man. And I'll probably just have a knife on me.
Remedies prison shiv.
Sharpen a toothbrush, all that shit.
Now, wow. Now what what got you into wrestling? Like, have you been watching since you've been a kid? Did you get into it later in life?
Man, I don't want to give I think I'm just going to give you the generic answer of I caught it one day and I was hooked, but I kind of grew up in a bad home. So a lot of bad things were going on around me. And I legitimately caught it one day and just kind of zoomed in. And I caught wrestling ass backwards because I didn't really see it or remember seeing it until the Sting Hogan feud in WCW. But that's when we had cable. And I'm like, "Who's this guy?" And they're like, "Sting." And I'm like, "Oh man." And then my next door neighbors used to have wrestling parties when we moved. So I'd always go over there, and they would have two TVs. So one would be on WCW, the other one would be on WWF at the time. And we would always watch, and they would always have pizzas or burgers or something, because every Monday was a party.
So, at that time, like, who would you say that you were most drawn to, like, character wise or style? Or...
It's funny because the two wrestlers that I like the most, I like Sting, but I was also a big fan of Eddie Guerrero and just his wrestling. Like I was a big fan of Eddie Guerrero, and then I just kept growing and growing, and then I realized that I could never be Eddie Guerrero, and then I became a fan of like Kevin Nash.
So I
Can
guess
you hear
we'll,
me?
yeah, we
Yeah,
can hear
you're
you.
good, bro.
I guess we'll go back into you said Eddie Guerrero, and I don't think I caught the first part. It was kind of a little bit windy.
Coming in.
Kevin Nash, there you
I
go.
heard Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sting, Kevin Nash, and Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah. So, if anybody here from the Valley would contact you, who would you be down to wrestle with here in the Valley? Any wrestlers from the Valley?
I want to wrestle Coven.
Oh, that snake
Oh,
broke up the Renegades of
that
wrestling.
snake Coven.
A little snake. He killed
I
my
just need to see
friend.
that match happen for real.
We need
Now-
to avenge Joe.
Joe, have you ever had like plans of ever wrestling down here in the valley?
I tried to a couple of times, but just kind of transportation and life, like I've had to cancel bookings.
Right now, on the topic of bookings, this is kind of doing like some fantasy booking. If you could book, if you got the like a Survivor Series type match of GSL versus an opposing team, who would you want to face against in that opposing team?
Okay. GSL versus the Job Squad.
Nice. Shit, someone book it, make that happen.
I think that would be an entertaining match
Yes.
for the Blue
So-
World Order.
A photo of Delmar, his old gear, and it kind of matched what you said.
Now the other
Roast
part
this
of
pig.
I was like, the other part of Roast This Pig that we kind of toyed around with is doing a 60-second promo, but you're roasting one of us. It could be you can pick any member you want. Just go full, no holds barred, full roast promo on any one of us for 60 seconds.
I'm ready.
And go.
So I'm supposed to roast this pig on one of y'all, but I'm gonna roast all of y'all because I don't know any of y'all. All y'all sound the same. All sound like just whiny, self-entitled marks. Like, hey, let's do this. Nah, how about we pay GSL to come in and all y'all can join the party. There's the one guy with the dildo. There's the one guy that got the charger up his butt, and other couple of unnamed people I know because I don't remember. So instead of just roast the pigs, how about I just cook all y'all's bacon instead?
Oh my god, that was fucking great.
Has anybody roasted y'all collectively?
And everyone roasted our what?
Anybody roasted y'all collectively?
No, I
No,
mean,
this is
this is the
this is
first
actually
time
the first roast.
we've done this. I mean, we got last episode we all got threatened to get our asses kicked by Richie Garcia, but that was just about it.
What is y'all's favorite wrestling company in the Valley?
In the valley.
Shit, I can't answer that. I'm from San Antonio.
Man, there's not many. Oh man, I would probably. I'd probably like to see you up against Richard Reason.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the death match.
The leader, or anything, because actually Reason's pretty technical. Julio, who would you like to see Remedy face from the Valley?
Probably Pete Payne.
Pete Payne. Yeah, that'd be sick. You familiar with Pete Payne Remedy?
I have to say I'm not.
Uh, we'll have to send you a picture or a video of him.
Yeah, like more or less, like how you've been dealing with it as far as like not being able to wrestle and all that, or take any bookings or any of that sort of nature.
Well, I think right now, one, I don't take that many bookings. Just because of the whole thing of like my day job. I work in the nightlife industry, which is completely shut down. But when I heard like all these places were canceling, I'm just like, it's the best thing to protect people. And a lot of people weren't thinking about the wrestler safety, or they weren't thinking about like safety of the fans.
Hmm.
And I feel like that was kind of wrong for it. But then at times I'm just kind of like, now I miss it. Like I'm missing being on the road. I'm missing seeing certain people, and right now I think it's kind of like I just want to go outside and play.
Mm-hmm. Right on.
So, any advice, wrestling wise, you want to give out to anybody that's trying to get either be wrestling general, ref, manager?
I would say learn etiquette. Learn etiquette, learn the ins and outs of wrestling, because you have a lot of wrestlers that are coming into the business that don't know etiquette. They don't understand that there's a respect system that's here, because the early days of wrestling, it was not everybody could be in this. You had to learn and earn your way. And it was to a point where that's how I kind of got in. I had to learn and earn my way in. And anybody could pay just to do something. But if you really love what you're doing, you learn everything about it. If you want to get into this, give it 100%. And if you think that you're giving your all already, then there's more that you can still give. So,
Oh,
Great advice there.
Now,
that's some damn good
Um,
advice. Shit.
and it's everybody thinks of, oh, I want to do this. I want my character to be this. I want to learn this move. But there's more to wrestling than just moves and characters. Etiquette is going to take you a long way. Just shutting your mouth and opening your ears is not just something that's just a life thing where you learn. It's a wrestling thing. If somebody's giving the time to tell you something, to teach you something, they really don't have to, because at the end of the day, you're going to be competing for a spot with this person, but they want you to be better. So they're teaching you when they don't have to. And there's so many stories of wrestlers not being respectful to somebody because they think that they're nobody, and come to find out that this one person holds your career in the palm of your hand. Sorry, in the palm of their hand. So I feel that you should be respectful to everybody. I don't like the whole thing of wrestlers griping all on social media about things, because it's done in a poor manner.
definitely. I guess as we wrap this up, with everything that's going on, do you have any words to anyone that might be listening? Kind of any positive words or anything you want to say to anyone that's listening?
With everything that's going on the news, internet, social media, all that, unplug for a while. Unplug, self cleanse, sit outside in front of your house, get some of that sunlight in. Um, think of what you have instead of what you don't. And everything's going to work its way through. If you're motivated after everything, you'll get what you have back. This is only temporary.
Now, any social media where we can find you?
Facebook and Instagram. Facebook at Need Remedy. You can find me on Instagram at Need Remedy. And those are the only two things that I say, but I hate Twitter. So,
Anywhere we can find some GSL merch?
what a maneuver. That is on our link on our Instagram. And Instagram's at Great Sexy Love. And I want to say it's on the Facebook page also at Great Sexy Love.
All right.
So,
Guys, if you guys have any... Oh, sorry.
Oh, I say, man, like the rest of the group, join like the rest of the group, subscribe to them, or whatever you need to join the party. Just join us. It's fun.
Guys, did you guys have any last words for Remedy before we let them go?
No, not really. I mean, other than thank you for coming out and being part of the show, man.
I just have a question. Who would you like to wrestle when all of this? Who would you like to wrestle as a return match?
Who would I like to wrestle? So I think I have three I want to wrestle. One is Kiefer Bartek.
Nice.
Right on.
Another one's Brett McKenzie. Another one's Thomas Shire. I want to wrestle Eric Shadows.
Oh, little Valley boy.
Yeah, Valley boy.
And I think my last person that I want to wrestle. Oh man. Last person I want to wrestle, I would probably say would be Ryan Davidson.
Wow.
Damn. Oh, hard-hitting match right there.
Well, I mean, with Thomas Shire as well, that'd be quite a hard-hitting match.
Yeah.
All right. Well, did you guys have any last questions? Any last notes?
I'm good.
I kind of want to ask my stupid question, but I was fuck it. All right, Remedy. All right. In order of most want to least want to, whose ass do you want to kick the most? Out of all three of us.
Oh man, I don't know. I would say out of least, I like y'all. So collectively, least. I don't have a problem with any of y'all, but any of y'all could step up to the plate and get knocked out. I'm equal opportunity.
Full service, I believe you guys said it was.
Yep, full service. There you go.
And we definitely need you, once this is all over, we definitely need to get you on Mark to Mark.
Oh, yes. Yes.
All right, y'all got to tell me what that is.
That's where our host, Julio, gets chopped by wrestlers.
Can't do it. Here's the thing. I'm heavy-handed, and my hands can pop windshields. So I don't chop throat.
I'll take it. My skin.
I got chills by you saying that.
I'm going to put it like this. Everybody puts over Walter's chops because they're so devastating. Low-key, mine are the same, but I don't chop because I've hurt people with them.
Wow.
Like I said, my skinny ass will do it.
Well, I guess we can have the whole GSL crew maybe Mark to Mark, and you can hold down Julio so he doesn't run away.
All right.
All right, well, I guess we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Remedy, for taking the time to talk to us and being on the show.
Man, you guys are cool. You guys are real cool. If y'all ever want to do this again, y'all know where to hit me up.
Hell yeah.
Right on, man.
Got it.
All right,
Y'all
thank you,
guys
Remedy.
take care.
Yeah, thank you, Remedy. You take it easy, bud.
Thank you.
Stay safe out there, brother.
Take care, guys. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So shout out to the Remedy for coming on the show. It was a real bitchin' interview. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the show too. Hope it was an amazing podcast. As always, follow me on Instagram at El Chazo with 3 Z's. Follow me on Twitter at El Chazo with 2 Z's. If you want to see any wrestlers, definitely hit us up. If you want to see any other refs, managers, promoters, commentators, whoever, like I said, hit us up.
All right, and you can follow me on Instagram. That's at Moitzilla. That's MoichZiilla. On Twitter, it's Merchzilla. That's MErchZiilla. For Julio, since he's having a bit of issues, his Twitter is Julio_Vasquez. That's VASKES. And his Instagram, I believe it's the same, but let me look it up real quick. Yes, it's Julio_VASKES2 on Instagram. And follow Wrestlevlogs on all social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Give us a like. Subscribe to the page on YouTube, because I think that's where we're uploading this. And yeah, just follow all our social medias and send us a message or any questions that you want to hear about any wrestlers. Just send us a message and we'll be sure to ask.
I mean, classic. Y'all stay safe. Don't go out if you don't have to. Follow
Wash your fucking
laws
hands.
and rules. Just wash your hands. Take a
No,
shower.
wash your fucking hands.
Yeah, I think that'll be the ongoing closing message during these times is if you're listening.
Deodorant, especially deodorant.
A lot of deodorant deniers. Yeah, no, but for real, this is, I guess, the ongoing message. Be nice to people and wash your fucking hands, especially during these times.
Wash your fucking hands.
Or else
Julio,
we'll send Richie Garcia and Remedy to fuck you up.
And Rodney Mack. So
Definitely
that's
Rodney.
All three.